Do you have any tips for diffusing an interaction between you and your child? Well, in my upbringing, when Dad said no, there was nothing after that. And so coming into the marriage with my husband and what he was brought up, their family were allowed to be able to say respectfully what they were thinking. So I had a lot to learn. And this is what I found worked for me. That a quick prayer, Lord help me listen this time, was helpful. And I tried to listen to their heart, not trying to form an answer while they were still talking, so that I actually heard with what they were saying. And I like to, I think that it's important to respond to the actual present issue, even though there are things that have in the past have happened. This may be a track record for them, or may have already had one of these failures, and it would be lovely to be able to bring that up on their face. But that's not addressing the actual offense. And watch for good compromises. You can compromise, and so that you both are relatively happy, and it's not affecting integrity or their faith walk. And of course, treat with respect, because we as parents don't know everything. And I kind of tried to reminded myself of what, when I was their age. Were you as selfish as I was? Because that's what kids feel like sometimes, is they're just being selfish. That's it for me.
Okay, so for me as a dad, trying to keep the temperature down between you and your children, I'm going to give 4 tips that I think helped us. Number 1 is pick your battles, parents. Boy, as your kids get older, you're going to have battles. They will think more for themselves and have more opinions, and it will escalate. So there's going to be multiple battles, and you don't want to get involved and go to battle on every issue. So pick your battles. For example, if your son's letting his hair grow too long, leave it alone. If they're sleeping in a little bit too much, leave it alone. If their room isn't quite as neat as we would like it to be, leave it alone. Those if your daughter's shorts are a little short and tight, maybe not leave it alone.
No.
Anyway, some of those things aren't hills to die on. So I would say, if you're going to pick your battles, pick things that conflicts that involve character and morality, such as integrity, truthfulness, choosing good friends, and being responsible. So that was the first point, is pick your battles. My second point would be, in keeping the temperature down between you and your child, pick your timing. If your child has had a late night the night before and is really tired the next day, that's not a good time to get into a place of conflict. Wait for a happy time, and when things are a little more peaceful, before you attack an issue that needs dealing with. The third point I would say is, find creative alternatives. Our kids were really popular in school and with their friends, and I know David had a big crowd of kids at high school that just loved having him around at their school parties. And it just wasn't a healthy environment, and he knew it and we knew it. But it was very hard for him as a popular kid to go to school the next day and explain why he wasn't at a party. So what we did is we created an alternative. For example, one night I took David to play racquetball. And then at least he had something to talk about at school the next day. Where were you, David? Oh, I was playing racquetball with my dad. So creating alternatives to bad situations can be helpful. Music can often become an issue when your kids are teenagers, and some of the music today has really bad language and bad morals. So if you can find music to play in the house, good Christian music with a message, but try to be contemporary, not old-fashioned like me, that would help dealing with conflict on music issues. And my fourth tip in diffusing conflict with your children, Carol mentioned it already, and that is sometimes it's okay to compromise. It sounds like that doesn't sound right, but compromise can sometimes work. So say, for example, your child has a really good show on TV that he or she would love to watch, but it's way past their bedtime. Then compromise. Say, I'll tell you what, let's break your bedtime rule this one time, but maybe in exchange, have your homework done first, and maybe you can help do the dishes. And for sure in the morning, you have to promise not to be grumpy if you stay up late watching this TV show. So that would be a compromise situation. So that would be my 4 suggestions.
Okay.